My name is Kate Gregory. I'm from Mississippi State. I am subbing in some MC duties here for Carrie and Dee Dee for this session. So for this session, we have Hali Black. She's first year experienced librarian and learning design coordinator at the University of Southern Mississippi. Her presentation is titled New Faces, Old Materials, Engaging First Year Students in Archives and Special Collections. And Haley, I see you got your presentation loaded and we can hear you. So if you're ready, I think we are. I'm going to let you go ahead and take over.
Okay, thank you so much, Kate, for that introduction. And thank you all for joining me today. This is definitely outside of my normal target audience. So it's great to be here with people who are passionate about archives and special collections. I am not an archives and special collections librarian. I'm a first year experienced librarian, which involves a lot of instruction and outreach to first year and transfer students, helping them get acclimated to academic research and helping them get excited about it too. So this session provides an overview of the collaboration between a librarian turned course instructor, myself, and a special collections curator and instruction librarian. So I hope this will prove beneficial to anyone who's working in archives and special collections, or if you're just interested in that and how you might adapt it to your course. If you're a course instructor, I hope this will be beneficial to you as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. So oftentimes students don't have the opportunity to engage with special collections and archives until much later in their academic career, usually when they're moving into their major courses, which often is in the field of humanities. So we think about English, literature, history, of course, cultural things. So if they're outside of the field of humanities, often they may never even enter special collections at all, which is completely tragic to me. And it means that students may never even encounter these collections. And so research has shown us that students who engage with special collections and archives, it enhances their learning in lots of different ways. So primary sources can take them closer to the people, events, and themes that they're studying. Can also, working with these unique sources enhances their research and even their critical analysis skills. Students can also make genuine discoveries and interpret sources that have never been used before. And also, I'm a big proponent of handling and reading old books and documents, personal diaries, letters, and firsthand accounts of historic events. And these types of activities can help excite or ignite excitement more so than your traditional textbook. And also incorporating primary sources into student research can help them take that next step into their academic journey as both an independent researcher and thinker. So a little bit of background. I've already mentioned that most of my work focuses on supporting first year success. And so this past year, I was selected to teach one of the sections of a course called Honors Colloquium. So this is a required course for all first year honors students that are admitted to the University of Southern Mississippi. It's a very unique course. It's a 2-semester sequence, so a full academic year, which focuses on laying the foundation of development for the honors scholar. All of these courses or course sections are planned around a common theme. And then all of the different faculty who are teaching these courses, they come from all different departments and schools across the university. We have people in history, we have people in English, we have people in variety of the sciences, people in art, visual arts, physical art, so things like ceramics, all sorts of things. And so I really feel like that variety allows the students to encounter different ways of thinking about this different theme. And so in the fall course, which is the first one that they take, students focus on learning how to encounter and interact with different types of writing and text with the goal of becoming a better analytical reader. They also learn how to collaborate with fellow scholars, usually their classmates, and how to engage in academic debate and discourse, and as well as how to improve their communication skills, both written and oral. And then the following spring, again, they're still with the same instructor and the same classmates. Students will sort of move from how to ask questions to focus on answering those questions. And they continue to hone the skill of asking rich, rewarding questions, as well as developing the tools needed to find those answers, research essentially, right? Um, so that gives you a little bit of background about the course that I taught for the first time this past semester. And so, some of the learning outcomes that are expected with this colloquium course are to develop the art of questioning as a tool for intellectual exploration, encounter and interact with different types of writing, become better analytical readers, collaborate with fellow scholars, engage in that academic debate and discourse, and improve their written and oral communication skills. So it's really up to the faculty member to sort of develop those activities and see how they best think that are the best methods for students to achieve those learning outcomes. And so, one thing that I want to mention as far as this goes is the fact that our students last year were coming from a very COVID-19 situation, right? In which they're usually their senior year of high school looks quite different than what it was. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second. And so the slide you're seeing here is a photo of myself, sans headphones, right? And Jennifer Brannock, who you've already heard from today, right? Curator of rare books in Mississippiana, professor, and her role in this specific collaboration was special collections and archives instruction librarian. And so, although as I've mentioned, my typical role at the university is first year experience librarian and learning design coordinator, I was also the course instructor for this specific course that is not typically taught by a librarian. And so, I've already talked a little bit about my work, the nature of my work, which usually means that I'm outside of my office more than I'm inside it. I'm often all over our Hattiesburg campus, and I also occasionally visit our coastal campuses as well. And so, there's also a photo here of our recently renovated McCain Library, which houses our special collections and archives. And so, again, my role as the FYE librarian for Southern Miss and my knowledge of Jennifer's work enabled me to connect with Jennifer and begin this particular collaboration. And when I say collaboration, I need you to understand that none of this would have been possible without her. She is absolutely amazing. I came to her with very vague ideas about what I wanted my students to learn and experience, and she took these wild ramblings and created magical experiences that I and my students will forever be thankful for. And so, as I was mentioning, one thing that was important to me was in person experiences. So, students who were entering college last year, so fall of 2021, were at a distinct disadvantage having experienced a worldwide pandemic for the duration of their senior year of high school and were entering college amid a lot of uncertainty. So our university had transitioned to back to in-person class meetings for the fall of 2021 after having been in a virtual since mid-spring of 2020. So this was a transitional phase for all of us. And so since we were still mid-pandemic, we had to take safety precautions very seriously. And so students were very ready to engage and were prepared to follow those safety protocols that included things like mask wearing, social distancing, and being very proactive about exposure and symptoms. And so, this timeline, very basic timeline chart here, shows the breakdown of how this collaboration took place. As I mentioned previously, the Honors Colloquium course spans an academic year, both fall and spring semesters, which provided me a very unique opportunity to have students engage with special collections and archives throughout the year. Whereas with a typical semester long course, you'd likely be limited to a specific project or visit. Um, and I also wanted each visit that we had to be a very unique experience so that students wouldn't feel like, well, I've already done this, right? And not be excited. And so this was not an issue, though. Each time I announced to my students that we would be returning to visit the special collections and Jennifer, they were very excited. So that was something that I did not necessarily need to worry about in hindsight. So now let's talk about what we actually did as far as our visits and the activities that we engaged in. So this is a couple of photographs from our first initial project with special collections and archives. So I wanted, excuse me, the first time for us to visit or to engage with these collections, I wanted it to be a more of a typical type of setting and situation in which there would be a resulting research project. And so during our first visit, Jennifer provided an overview of special collections and archives to provide students with the understanding of the purpose of such facilities and the important work that they do. Most of my students were completely unaware that such resources even existed, much less on our campus. And they often made comparisons to the collections that they had seen in museums. After the introduction, we facilitated a speed dating activity, which I give full credit to Jennifer for creating. For the speed dating, Jennifer and I collaborated in advance to select specific materials for the students to work with. The speed dating activity had students in small groups, and they spent a short amount of time with each selected artifact or material without being provided any prior context. And so, in addition to this course being interdisciplinary, so they're not going into a history course, so they're not expecting that. With no context for the materials, I think it really allowed them to be both creative and to engage in critical thinking. They literally sat at a table with an artifact and they had to investigate. And so Jennifer had supplied a worksheet with questions to help guide that investigation. And so let's talk about some of the materials that we selected. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Southern Mrs. McCain Library Collections offer a very wide variety of historical resources ranging from 15th century illuminated manuscripts to Civil War letters, civil rights documents, and current Mississippiana. So the collections are comprised of four sort of units: university archives, rare books of Mississippiana, historical manuscripts, and then, of course, our internationally known de Grummond Children's Literature Collection, although we did not utilize the latter, the de Grummond collection, for this particular course. So I mentioned previously that each year the Honors Colloquium faculty select a theme from which the course sections develop their own take. And so this year's theme was uncertainty. So I really wanted our special collections project to reflect that theme. And so when I went to Jennifer with my ideas, again, she just did not disappoint at all. The images you see here are from some of the materials that the students worked with during the speed dating activity. So in small groups, students got to interact with a different artifact or material, each one varying wildly in topic from, as you can see in the upper left-hand corner, the Supermother's Cooking with Grass, which is a very early marijuana or cannabis cookbook disguised as a very regular cookbook, to documents about segregation in Mississippi, to LGBTQ plus liberation movements, as you can see here from the Lesbian Front, which was the first lesbian publication in Mississippi. And other topics included the Pascagoula, Mississippi UFO sighting, which was very, students loved that one, as well as items from our university archives. In the bottom right hand corner, you can see some materials from previous student handbooks, specifically for female students, which offered students the chance to see what college life used to look like for women. And so, in addition to learning about special collections and archives, the main goal was for students to gain familiarity with different types of sources and also to consider how to develop a research topic from these really unique sources. And so this flow chart sort of shows the process of the project. Of course, they had that introduction to archives and special collections. We had our speed dating activity with the artifacts, which led to research topic development. And I will say that I provided a lot of flexibility in their research topic development, so that they could pick something they were interested in. I really wanted to see them creatively think about these artifacts in a unique light. And so it really resulted in some really unique presentations at the end of it that I am forever thankful for. And I'm very glad that I did not try to direct their thinking as far as research topic development. So after they had a handle on what topic they wanted to pursue, they conducted research using supplemental primary sources, which were provided by Jennifer. She went through and found and made accessible additional materials from our special collections that related to those original artifacts that we used during speed dating. And then we had several sessions on conducting research using supplemental secondary and tertiary materials, which then led to the presentation of their research project, where they talked about their original artifact and sort of the development of the topic that they chose. And so here are some of the learning outcomes for the project. I wanted to make sure I listed these. I feel that, again, humanities faculty are often already familiar with the benefits of utilizing special collections, but other faculty may not be as familiar with these benefits. So I find it helpful to explain what exactly these visits and activities provide for the students. What will they learn or gain from these experiences? So for those of you who work in archives or special collections, developing and sharing learning outcomes may help you increase like the buy-in from faculty or community members who might not normally utilize these experiences in their classes, or perhaps they just haven't considered how to fit that into their course planning. And so that may be one way that you can sort of appeal to them. And so that was the activity that we focused on for the fall, which was quite a lengthy activity, given that we had to have 2 required visits to special collections. The first, again, being the introduction to archives and speed dating. And then students returned again to engage with the materials Jennifer had selected as supplemental materials. And so then in the spring semester, our course was divided into different units, each one with its own topic. And so again, coming back to that theme of uncertainty, we sort of explored uncertainty looking at different topics. So the first unit we focused on writing technologies, communication, and information access. We started our class with a brief history of writing technologies and publication. Given the current state of technology advances, many students admitted to using a smartphone for a significant portion of their research and composing process, which I think for many of us is just really shocking. I can't imagine typing a research paper on my phone personally. Um, and so we read some articles that discussed some of the major writing technologies of the past, such as the quill, the fountain pen, printing press, typewriters, and the evolution of computers and smartphones. And we noted that with each sort of advance in technology, there is an initial distrust that much of the public would have with these new technologies. And so this goes all the way back to really, really early dates. For example, we talked about that Socrates believed that writing itself was not an effective means of communicating knowledge, and that face to face communication was the only way a person could actually transmit knowledge. And so obviously there was a distrust there just for the written word as a storage of knowledge. And so we sort of used that ideology as we sort of looked at this progression of writing technologies. And so my students found this absolutely fascinating. that the written word is not to be trusted, or wasn't to be trusted. And they actually made some really interesting connections to in-person versus online or virtual learning, right? Because pre-COVID, there was still a significant distrust or aversion to virtual learning. And then I would say that having come out of on the other side of the pandemic now, most of us have at least been forced to experience some online or virtual learning, whether we prefer it or not. And so, when thinking about the history of writing technologies, I had students consider what role or impact did these technologies play or have on the composing process? And also, how does a lack of familiarity with a specific technology affect one's ability to compose? Right, Socrates, what did he know? Absolutely. Um, we're still using many of his methods today. Our Socratic questioning method is still very predominant, right? And so this was one of my favorite things, honestly. So one of the in-class activities that I had students do was writing with a quill and ink, and that's the photos that you're seeing here. And so most of today's students rely on computers, mobile devices, and smartphones for writing and taking notes. So many of them hadn't had to rely on handwriting for some time. And that handwriting was with modern pencil, and, usually a mechanical pencil or a pen. And so when I told them that they would not only be handwriting the day's writing prompt, but then when I pulled out ink and quills, I was met with both excitement and apprehension. Lots of Harry Potter jokes and things like that, which, I just went along with, of course. And so this activity enabled my students to experience what we had already been discussing in class, sort of firsthand, right? And so while this activity was done within the classroom rather than as an aspect of the special collections collaboration, I think this activity could be used by both course instructors and those working in special collections. It could be a great segue into historical writing and correspondence. And I think it enables students to really appreciate the handwriting abilities of the past. It's also a relatively inexpensive activity, as the supplies only consist of calligraphy ink and calligraphy paper or parchment. Those are probably the two most expensive items, but both of which usually come in under $5, depending on how many students are involved in the activity. Also, water, some plastic straws, and just a pair of scissors, most of which of that you can find on hand. So for the activity, what I did was prepare the straw quills ahead of time. And so you basically can't really show a demonstration of this, but you basically take a straw, plastic straw, and trust me when I say that I tried to be environmentally friendly the first go around, but those paper straws just cannot accomplish this activity. And I also could not afford actual quills. Um, you can find those on Amazon, and maybe if your budget allows, I would encourage you to use that. But my budget simply did not allow it. And so we used plastic straws, and you basically take the scissors and cut them to look like a quill nib, and it works relatively the same for the purposes of the assignment. And so I created workstations. I went ahead and pre-diluted the ink to the correct ratio so that the ink would flow really well. So each little workstation had a shareable ink pot. Each person had a plastic straw and sort of a backup plastic straw quill, and then of course a couple of sheets of paper. Now it's important, those of you who haven't done this before, I'll go ahead and let you know, you definitely want to use calligraphy paper, parchment paper, or even watercolor paper, because those types of materials will not seep through the back with the ink, and also won't just spread all over the place, which you just don't want. And so what I did, I had students practice with their quills. They had one page to practice on for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I provided a writing prompt for them to actually engage in writing with these materials. And so then after that, we talked about the activity, and I had them reflect on their experience individually through another writing assignment. And so after our in-class Quill and Ink activity and our discussions of writing technologies, I supplemented this unit with another visit to McCain Library. My students were very excited to see Jennifer again, and once again, she did not disappoint. So this particular visit was very different from our previous visits. This visit was not directly linked to a research assignment. And so it was a little bit less of a pressure situation, if that makes sense. And so instead, I like to label this activity as more of a learning experience that I call show, touch, and tell. Because show and tell is fantastic, but when you also get to touch, it adds a whole nother element to that. And so Jennifer supplied all manner of materials, which the students were allowed to examine and touch, which they were very excited about. And so Jennifer provided details on each item, which allowed students to sort of learn as they interacted with the materials, creating a very interesting environment. Apologies to those of you who are watching my video. I have timed lights, sustainability and all that, right? Students were particularly drawn to the antiphonor, who you can see in the middle picture here, the really, really large book that's being touched. And so the pages of this particular material are made of the vellum, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but that's not often familiar to students. Many of them do not realize that paper has not always existed, that we used to use animal skins. And so that was really interesting. They also really enjoyed seeing early correspondence with Quill and Ink after their own in-class experience with modified quills and ink, of course. And I think this gave them a greater appreciation of those writing technologies, right? Jennifer had also supplied, you can kind of see that in that middle picture too as well. There are some wax seals on some of these correspondences. And so the students were really interested in those. So in addition to those, there were a couple of early books which showed sort of the development of publication practices. So we got to look at some pretty unique bindings, different printing presses, and things like that. So very interesting. Had a fantastic, of course, had a fantastic time. And also, I would just like to mention that visits to special collections, and I hope that this inspires you to reach out to other people, faculty or community members. It doesn't have to be tied to a research project. It can just be a learning experience, a very fun, rewarding one. And so, of course, what kind of learning design coordinator would I be without providing some learning outcomes? And again, feel free to use these learning outcomes as a means to reach out to people that would be using your collections to help get that buy-in. And so some of the ones that I had for this unit were developing the art of questioning as a tool for intellectual exploration, encounter and interact with different types of writing and early printing, encounter and engage with different writing and printing technologies, and reflect on the effect of writing and printing technologies on composing, communication, and even society. Okay, so now for our last, but certainly not least, visit to McCain Library. So you can see here a picture of the activity, and then also a photo of one of the materials. So this should give you a hint at what was happening in this activity. Absolutely love the cover of this cookbook. What's cooking? And so we went to McCain Library to interact with the amazing cookbook collection that is housed there. One of our well-known faculty members, Dr. Andrew Hali, has been collaborating with Jennifer for the past few years to develop this amazing collection of community cookbooks. which serve as unconventional sources of Mississippi history, specifically women's history. And so my initial idea for incorporating cookbooks stemmed from our unit, which focused on food and community. So teaming up again with Jennifer to access our unique cookbook collection was a no-brainer. I specifically wanted students to consider the historical significance of cookbooks as culinary, cultural, and community histories, as well as how cookbooks can be used as primary sources. And so, community cookbooks are fantastic primary sources that can be used to help students make connections between life's daily routines and wider economic, cultural, social, political, and even technological trends. So, given the recent resurgence in interest in cookbooks, which coincided with the COVID-19 pandemic, I also wanted students to consider how cookbooks might have functioned as an early form of social networking or social media, as we call it today. Um, and so, again, I must give credit where credit is due. When I approached Jennifer about using the cookbook collection for an activity, she was very excited, but we had to work out the best way for students to interact with the materials. Again, I wanted each of our visits to be an entirely different experience. So we had already done speed dating and show, touch, and tell experiences. So we knew we wanted to do something different. In the end, Jennifer and I selected specific recipes from a variety of cookbooks, which she provided. So for the actual activity, students were placed in small groups and they were given two recipes with brief instructions to modernize the recipe to meet today's standards. Um, they were also told to include questions or issues that they ran into when trying to rewrite the recipes. And I'll be honest with you, Jennifer and I selected recipes that we knew would not be easy to rewrite. So you can see an example of one such recipe here, and then a photo on the right of students working on their recipes. And so this recipe, superior tea cake, so you can see that printing or that reprinting of the recipe from the cookbook, and then down below it is a citation for the provides more information about the actual cookbook. You can see it is from 1880. And so then all of the other writing, this was printed off as a sheet, and then the students could write all over the sheet and on the back of the sheet as they rewrote their recipes essentially. So notice, if you're looking at this, notice that on this reprinted recipe, the students have circled terminology that they were not familiar with, if you can see that. Um, the hartshorn, um, here they did not really understand what that was. And you can see here where they tried to rewrite the recipe, crossed things out, had to go back to the table to think about things. And so it just shows proof of how this can engage in their critical thinking skills. And so here's another one that was, I have to say, probably my absolute favorite. And it resulted in much discussion and laughter. So this recipe is for a chicken and pastry based dish whose instructions required a good deal of previous culinary knowledge. Um, and so you can see the recipe on the left, and you can see the students' notes on the right, where they're trying to rewrite this particular recipe. Um, it is a little bit more organized and neater than the previous one, but there's some pretty interesting questions here. If you'll notice that questions, student questions regarding when the chicken was actually supposed to be processed or killed. If you go back, do you need to kill the chicken before or after? If you go back over here to the recipe, you can see that there are they don't actually mention killing the chicken until the last sentence in the recipe. And so following this really fun and enlightening activity. We discussed the role of unwritten culinary knowledge, right? And the ways in which cookbooks also served as community or shared knowledge, as well as what can they tell us of the past. Um, given that cookbooks are often found everywhere and they're pretty easily accessible, I think this activity could easily be replicated by others, even if you don't have the extensive cookbook collection that we have in our in our collection. Sorry, I'm laughing a little bit at your comments. Yes, this one was particularly hilarious. There were several others that I don't have examples of. Particularly, there was a rum cake in which that occurred that was published in the era of prohibition, and so the recipe actually never mentioned putting rum in the cake, and so students were very confused about why it was a rum cake if it didn't actually include rum. And so we had a fantastic discussion of prohibition and the fact that more likely than not uh, the amount or the inclusion of rum was to be expected, but it wasn't published in the cookbook because of prohibition. So you secretly knew how much rum to put in a rum cake. So it was really interesting and fun. And so, of course, here's some of the learning outcomes associated with the activity. Again, developing that art of questioning as a tool for intellectual exploration, encountering and interacting with historical community cookbooks, utilizing cookbooks as primary sources, and understanding the historical significance of cookbooks, as well as reflecting on cookbooks as shared or community knowledge. And that about wraps up my talk. Here are some of the sources that I've referenced in the presentation, as well as some suggestions for further reading for either instructors looking to incorporate archives and special collections into their courses, especially if those courses don't typically utilize such sources, especially like I mentioned, non-humanities courses. I hope these resources in this presentation is also beneficial to those of you who are working in archives and special collections. You are a wealth of knowledge and you are uniquely positioned to share your knowledge of your collections with your community. And of course, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. But I will mention before we dive into any questions, I'll go back to the chat, or please feel free to unmute yourself. If you happen to think of something later, this always happens to me. I think of questions the day or two after a presentation. Please feel free to reach out to me via phone or email. This is a really exciting topic to me, and I'm looking forward to continuing my collaboration with Jennifer. Hopefully she's also excited for next year's honors colloquium course. And so our theme next year is actually resistance, which I have a lot of ideas about, and I can't wait to get started after this amazing experience of incorporating special collections and archives into my course. I don't think I could do the course again without it. I feel like I would be denying my students from a very rewarding experience. Okay.
Thank you, Haley. This was fantastic. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat or feel free to just jump on the audio. I see we have one here. Have you ever cooked anything from your collection cookbooks for social media or for outreach?
Yes, I haven't specifically, but Dr. Andrew Haley and Jennifer Brannock do an event where they do just that. They take old recipes from those collections and they attempt to make it. And they have a food share, like a potluck event, and it's absolutely amazing. I don't have the link to that, but I'm sure I can get it to you if you're interested. But they totally do that. It's very interesting. And I see a question from Melissa that's about, let me scroll back up. I don't want to miss it. That's about using primary sources. Do you find that it's better to use less items per student group? Um, yes. So in this particular class, it's only 75 minutes. And so when we first started using those primary sources with the speed dating exercise, there was only one artifact per table. And so students in small groups interacted or engaged with that artifact quite in depth. They answered a series of questions on the worksheet. And then after a period of time, they moved to the next table. So they were able to interact with all of the different artifacts that were selected, but again, just one per table. I feel like, and have heard from others that have done different things with archives as far as integrating into their courses, that unless it's an advanced student, so we're thinking, when I say advanced student, I'm thinking like a junior or senior that's already in their major program like history or something like that. When you're introducing first year students to something that they just didn't even know existed, I think it's really important to select just a few, so that they can really focus in on those and so that they're not overwhelmed. So with after that first speed dating activity, and after they gotten really comfortable with the artifact that they were going to be working with, after having been exposed to a few different types, then that's when we started bringing in supplemental primary and secondary sources for them to sort of explore as well. So we kind of took our time with that. And then with the cookbook activity, again, they had to completely rewrite this recipe in a class period, like right then. And so we only gave two recipes. And I don't think, I know some of the students were able to accomplish two recipes. We tried to give them a harder one and then an easier one. But I think some of them didn't even complete both recipes as far as the rewriting goes. They encountered several things that required prior culinary knowledge or wording that they had to look up. And when we first began the exercise, I banned use of phones. I really wanted them to think about the recipe and what those terms, even if they don't know what they mean, will use context clues, right? I want you to critically think about these terms and the recipe. And so then after some struggles, then we got the phones involved so that we could look up specific terms. And so I would say to Melissa, less is more, unless you're working with advanced students. Let's see. Does anybody else have any other questions that I have missed? Yes, thank you so much for providing links, Jennifer. Yeah, and if anybody has, again, any questions after today, if you want to try that Quill and Ink thing and you need to know how to cut the straws, feel free to reach out to me, because my students had an amazing time. I can't wait to do it again. Yeah, Ellen, I think engaging students with primary sources as soon as they are able to is absolutely both rewarding for them, and I think it's important to get the word out for archives, right? So I will say that for this course, it's a variety of students as far as majors go. And I did have one student who was originally a music major, and she has informed me this semester that she has changed her major to library science with a focus on archives and special collections. And so, not that we're just trying to convert everybody, right? But it was a really nice moment that it made me realize that, okay, they may have not realized that was a career opportunity for them if we hadn't done those experiences. Yeah, maybe we are. I'm not. Well, thank y'all so much for coming and listening to someone. I know this wasn't from an archival perspective.
This was fantastic. Lots of really great ideas. I think we all really enjoyed it, and thank you so much again. We are going to break for lunch until 1 o'clock, and our next session at 1 o'clock will be from